the strong one, I'm not nervous, I'm as tough as the crust of the earth is. I move mountains, I move churches, and I glow cause I know what my worth is. I don't ask how hard the work is, got a rough, indestructible surface, diamonds and platinum, I find them, I flatten them, I try so hard, but to be a man,
you must be swift as a coursing river, with all the force of a great typhoon, with all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious as the dark side of the moon.
I'm never gonna catch my breath, hope they don't see right through me. Boy, was I a fool in school for cutting gin, cause it's pressure like a drip, drip, drip that will never stop. Oh. Pressure like a tip, 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 you just go pop. Oh, oh, oh.
Give it to a man cause it doesn't hurt him, see if he can handle every burden.
Who am I if I can't handle it all? If I fall to pressure like a grip, 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 and it won't let go. Pressure like a tip, tick, tick, till you're ready to blow.
Tranquil as a forest, but on fire within. Once you find your center, you are sure to win. You're the saddest bunch I ever met, but you can bet before we're through, Mr. I'll make a man out of you.
But wait, if I could shake the crushing weight of expectations, would that free some room up for joy or relaxation or simple pleasures? Instead we measure this growing pressure. Keeps growing, keeps growing.
Did they send me daughters when I asked for sons? You're a spineless, pale, pathetic lot, and you haven't got a clue. How could you make a man out of you? Be a man,
not as swift as the coursing river, without the force of a great typhoon. I'm still a man no matter what they say. I'm true to the man that's inside of me.
I know awesome is an overused word, but that was awesome. Thank you very much to this group of men. We have a quote we don't often read, but today I'm going to read it. Feminism isn't about one gender winning. It's about all genders thriving. When we break free from inequality, we create a world where everyone can live authentically, love fully, and rise without limits. Come, come, whoever you are, we are all welcome here. No matter age, size, color of eyes, hair, or skin, we are welcome here. No matter our gender, whom we love, how we speak, or whatever our abilities, we are welcome here. We are welcome here whether we come with laughter in our hearts or tears in our eyes. No matter what our past experiences have been, no matter what awaits us in the future, we are all welcome here. Whether we believe in God all of the time, some of the time, or none of the time, we are welcome here. This is a community of open minds, loving hearts, and willing hands. Good morning and welcome to South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. My name is Cate MacGillivray. My pronouns are she and her. I am a bespectacled, white-haired, pale-skinned, yearning for the sun woman dressed in dark colors today. And it is my privilege to serve as the worship associate for this morning's service with Joshua as our worship leader. And the last thing I want to say is a reminder to please take a moment sometime after the service to check out our altars. We try to really reflect what our theme is through our altar. It is our artistic piece to you. So please take a moment to check it out.
Hello, my name is Joshua Johansen. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a white, middle-aged, brown hair male who is conspicuously overdressed for a UU congregation with a white shirt, a bow tie, and a sparkly purple vest. Today we're going to be talking a lot about masculinity. I'm going to talk how people are socialized, how they're perceived by culture, and how we see ourselves. And I want to make a reminder that that's not always the same group of people. That some people are socialized as male but are not men. That some people are not socialized as men but are recognized as men later on in life. And all of those are valid. And so just remember there's nuance whenever we use the word man. Okay, let us take a moment now to fully arrive and welcome one another with joy.
Let us light our chalice. It is the symbol of our faith and the light of our commitments to love and justice. Those at home are invited to light a chalice and share in this ritual by entering chalices lit and the name of your street. Please join me in repeating our chalice lighting words. Use your actions. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, for the light of truth, and for the energy of action and flames of resistance. Let's not forget that.
I'm so happy to be up here with you guys and not up there. My name is Leo Brandon. I use he, him pronouns. I'm white with freckles, big glasses, and a cowboy tie today. I brought a couple friends that I wanted to talk to you guys about before we get to the book. The first one here, this is Kanani. Isn't she cute? So I wanted to ask you guys about, we're going to talk about toys and gender. And so let's see here. Kanani, she's super fun to play with. Who can play with this type of toy? What do you can, that's right.
Anyone?
Anyone, that's a great answer. Anybody else have one? No, that's so true. Perfect answer. Like, anybody can play with this toy, right? This is actually my doll from when I was your age. Oh, what's up?
I wasn't raising my hand. I was holding my back.
So true. Okay, she's gonna sit right here and read the book with us. And now we got another type of toy, an awesome car transporter. Who can play with this type of toy? You can, that's right. Yeah. Everybody. Great answer. You guys already know it.
Not more than 18 people at a time.
That's also a good answer. I feel like maybe 2 would be pushing it with us. Anybody else? Don't want to cut you guys off. Yeah, it's so true. Anybody can play with this toy, right? So, you guys already know the answers. So now we'll get into reading our book. It's called Pink is for Boys. Okay. Pink is for boys and girls. Pink is for all kids and bows on fancy clothes. Yeah. Blue is for girls and boys. Blue is for all kids and uniforms on a team. Yellow is for boys and girls. Yellow is for all kids and a crown to wear. No, colors are just for kids. Green is for girls and boys. Green is for all kids and grass to run on. Red is for boys and girls. Red is for all kids and cars racing along a track. Orange is for girls and boys. Orange is for all kids and popsicles dribbling down sticky chins. Purple is for boys and girls. Purple is for all kids. And unicorns, because unicorns. And all the colors are for everyone, girls and boys, and all the kids.
And no grown-ups.
No grown-ups. And flowers and butterflies and rainbows in the sky. Thank you guys for joining me. We're going to sing the kids out as they go downstairs for RE.
This community, our church, and its many ministries are only made possible by the gifts you give of your time, your talent, and your treasure. Many of you pledge monthly to support our work, and for this we are grateful. Your gifts help ensure that we are able to live our values of love and justice in the outside world. Part of our ministry at South Valley includes sharing our Sunday worship offerings with a charitable organization that aligns with our principles and values. This week, we continue to share with Stewardship Utah, which is an organization working to protect our land, air, and water for the citizenry of Utah through elections, policy, and democracy. Sounds like a worthy cause. Please join me in reading our offertory words. They're printed in your order of service and on the screen. We are this church. We are its hands, its heart, its voice. Together, we share the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts. We'll now accept the offering. If the ushers could come forward.
Near the moon, brightly shining, see the shining sparks of light, each one new, each one burning through the darkness of the night. We call them stars, my son. Say stars. That one is Mars, my son. Can you say it? New word today. Say stars as they blink all around us, playing starry-eyed games. Who would think it astounds us, simply naming their names? Turn your eyes from the skies now, turn around and look at me. There's a light in my eyes now, and a word for what you see. We call it love, my son. Say love. So hard to say, my son. It gets harder. New words today we'll learn to say. Learn moon, learn stars, learn love.
For all we have received and all that we have courage to give, may we be truly thankful. May these gifts be a blessing to South Valley and to Stewardship Utah.
I have a blessing to read now. It is called Blessing Our Many Masculinities by Kai Flannery. We bless today all the masculinities with us and within us. We bless you who shelter us and are queer, you who grow flowers, you who take up welding and are proud to work in the shower of sparks. We bless you whose heart hammers at taking up a power drill, you who know the names of birds and trees, each regarded and held gently. We bless you who paper over fear with swagger, your little heart beating fast, saying, "Let me be free, please don't laugh." We bless those of us who don't have words for what we feel, whose strength lies in planning, hoping hard that action will be enough. There is a space for you in the landscape of vulnerability. We bless those of us who are confident, knowing in our bones our own value. We bless those of us who live with disability, who find new ways of loving a body, its essence, its gifts, not just what it can do with ease. May we find measure of strength again each day for the journey. We bless you who try new things at age 60, 70, 80. You may find joy, not perfection. We bless you who have to figure out how to relax intentionally, for whom retirement is a mystery to be tried one day at a time. We bless you who never made enough money to retire, those who hesitate to sign anything because the law has always taken away and never given. May your name come to mean power and not suspicion. We bless you who live with a government name or an assigned gender that doesn't fit. May the place where you live come to join you in embracing complexity. We anoint those of us who don't seek health care, who seek self-sufficiency because it is safe and proud. May you learn the rest and risk of being cared for. We bless those of you who find courage in speaking up for others. May you teach others your gift of saying hard things with kindness. We bless you whose hearts are brilliant magnolia print, and those whose hearts are plaid. Those who live your masculinity in a skirt with sequins and boots, who learned how to work a sewing machine in secret. We bless you who wait for others to speak first, those who use your power to lift up voices around you, and those of us who don't seem to recognize our power and need to be witnessed again and again to know how we are seen. We bless you. We bless you. We bless you. We witness you. We bless you who shelter us and are queer, you who grow flowers. Your children are all around you. We bless you today, all the masculinities with us and within us.
Today, I get to talk about one of my favorite topics, men. Real men. There's a presence, this energy that draws me in, something undeniably masculine. To me, a real man is simply that, a man who is real. Society imposes all these so-called qualifications on what it means to be a real man, but that's not real, following some arbitrary standards. This performance of toughness, denial of weakness, and suppression of emotion, it's not real, it's exhausting. To me, true masculinity emerges when we strip away those toxic pressures and let men exist as their full, authentic selves. Real men are diverse, and masculinity is defined by that diversity. If you are a man, which only you can define, you, by definition, are already man enough. The rich tapestry of humanity only comes from each person contributing their unique part. But to strip down to that part that's uniquely you requires breaking through layers of social conditioning, rejecting rigid gender roles, and embracing your whole self, flaws and all. And you being okay losing your spot. When you separate your sense of self from the privilege and pressures imposed upon you, you're not threatened when that privilege is dismantled, because you're separate from that privilege. You understand that being vulnerable and asking for help isn't a weakness, it's a strength. And you don't have to prove yourself to anyone or feel threatened by how other people live their gender, because you know you are enough. These toxic notions of gender run deep in our culture and exploit a very basic human need: to feel value and worth. When I was 5, my sisters wanted to dress me up as a girl. I enjoyed being a boy, but I also really enjoyed playing dress up. I'd get to wear fun little stickers for earrings and, those bendable headbands my sisters left all over the house. It was fun. But I already intuitively knew I wasn't supposed to enjoy it. So I pretended that they tricked me so that I could still get dressed up, but then I could save face, especially around my older brother. Now, I know I wasn't the only boy to feel stress about appearing masculine. Many little boys react negatively to being called pretty instead of handsome, and we're already taught to avoid anything pink or to play with action figures and not dolls. I don't know the differences, but it's very important. These are cultural norms. Not long ago, boys in Western society wore dresses until the age of 7. These are pictures of FDR, Ernest Hemingway, and King Louis XV as little boys. At 5 years old, I had already learned to be embarrassed about something that was standard just a few generations ago. Kids learn cultural norms about gender early, from the media, their family, and peers. We need to counteract this. Kids need to see a variety of gender expressions so they can see themselves grow into adults that are valued for who they are. I've often heard people complain about story time in drag would confuse kids, but I personally would have been less confused if I saw that a man in a dress could be valued for who he was. That would have helped me a lot growing up. This need to be valued is strong and can overpower the need to be authentic. If you can convince men that they need to act a certain way in order to be a real man, you can control their behavior and twist their gender into a weapon. The specifics don't really matter. It's not about whether boys play with dolls or trucks. It's not like we had this great gender equality back when boys wore dresses. It was different things about dueling for honor and smoking cigarettes. I don't get it. And the next generation will have some new arbitrary standard of what it means to be a man. And what the patriarchy cares about is any set of rules they can use to separate men. Society values from those it doesn't. If you can divide men against each other, you can keep them focused on protecting their own status and looking down on others, rather than questioning why we have a hierarchy in the first place. Male privilege is not exactly known for being egalitarian. Men who get the most privilege are white, cisgendered, heterosexual, neurotypical, not disabled, educated, and adhere to specific stereotypical gender norms. there's enough division that most men will find themselves outside in at least one of those categories. When I was searching for a reading, I listened to the experience of lots of different trans men, and it really struck me. A lot of them talked about male privilege and experiencing it for the first time. But Black trans men also had an added layer of being perceived as a Black man for the first time. And one man shared that the first time he realized he passed as a man is when he got roughed up by the police, which is not what you want. Men are overrepresented in business, politics, and other positions of power, but they are also overrepresented in the prisons and in the streets, especially men of color. This isn't because men are inherently more violent or self-destructive, and it certainly isn't because they deserve these outcomes. Other countries do not imprison men at the rate that this country does. The issue is not masculinity itself, but a society that primarily values men at the top and disregards men at the bottom. From childhood, boys are told to man up when they cry, tough it out when they struggle, and figure it out when they need help. Our emotions are policed, vulnerability is punished, and seeking support is equated with failure. Men are more likely to become isolated and internalize their pain until it manifests in self-destruction. Addiction, violence, incarceration, and even suicide is more common among men. But it isn't just how men are socialized. It's how we are perceived. Men are more frequently arrested, more likely to be sentenced to jail, and receive longer sentences for the same offense as women, especially Black men. Judges and juries perceive women as more helpless and innocent, while men are seen as more dangerous and less capable of reform. Just as unequal pay for women and gender minorities for the same work is unjust, so too are the harsher penalties for men who commit the same crimes. And it's not like it's good for women to be seen as helpless either. There is no such thing as a good or bad stereotype. Every stereotype has a flip side. Whether you're pressured to something that just isn't you, or you're stopped from doing something that you excel at, it still makes your gender a prison. If you're trying to get a promotion or command the attention of those around you in a conversation, being seen as knowing what you're talking about is a privilege. But if you need help, if you're falling apart emotionally and having people assume you're already man enough to figure it out, then that same privilege becomes a liability. Men need room to be victims too. I had a male friend who was physically abused by his wife. People either didn't believe that a woman would beat up a man or shamed him for it. It's estimated that 1 in 7 men will be the victim of domestic abuse. Because of social stigma and ingrained views on gender, men rarely get the help they need. There are very few shelters for male survivors of domestic abuse. All victims of abuse deserve compassion, not just ones that fit a certain profile. Men need room to be hurt and need help. Men deserve compassion. Suppression paints with broad strokes. Men who don't fit traditional male stereotypes get covered as well. When traditional female roles are devalued, the men who take on those roles also get devalued. A Gallup poll found that most men and most women prefer working outside the home. For this, a lot of women, this is a trap. But for the 1 in 4 men who prefer homemaking, they have to navigate a world that was designed for women. When I spent a year being the primary caretaker of my family, and I went to several mommy and me classes and had my contributions devalued to babysitting or just casually dismissed altogether. Black men in particular have to worry about being seen as a predator And even taking your kids to the playground can be a risky experience for some men. Our society does not see men as nurturers and punishes those who do. This is connected to barriers other genders face in the workplace. There are a lot of heterosexual couples where the wife wants to work and the husband wants to stay home, but because of the societal pressures, they are forced into the traditional roles rather than the roles that they would thrive at. Sometimes we talk about gender roles as men versus women, but often we share each other's pain, and the healing needs to happen together. So why do we cling to these outdated notions? Why do we sacrifice our authenticity and happiness? Why do we even care what people do with their gender? For me, a big hurdle is tackling my own insecurities. And I think behind a lot of bullies, you'll see really insecure people. I, for example, am insecure about my ability to play sports. I wasn't that good, and other kids teased me, saying I played like a girl. And it's not that girls can't be great athletic sports people. There's some amazingly athletic women, but it was meant as an insult. It was meant to put women below men. It was meant to challenge my masculinity, and that's what the problem was. The shame was really overwhelming, and sometimes I resorted to avoidance. I would try to undermine female players. I would try to deflect attention to boys who were even less athletic than me, which wasn't a very high pool, but there were some. I was both a victim of this toxic masculinities and these unreal expectations, as well as a perpetrator. I continued to push it on other people. Hurt people often hurt others. I've made a lot of progress. It's not easy. I still hear those old playground taunts when I'm playing sports against a woman who's superior, but I'm better at recognizing that discomfort, acknowledging it, and moving past it. It really is a growth experience, and it helps me to kind of break past those toxic pressures. In fact, it's such a great experience. I think all men should have experience of playing and getting beaten by a woman. It's a great experience. And it's not to crush their fragile ego or whatever. I'd say it's the opposite. It's actually to build your ego. To say that I can play sports against a woman who's better than me, and that doesn't devalue my worth. I can still be worthy, even if I am not playing what society expects me to do. Now, in the academic realm, I am doing just fine. My ego is doing quite well. I'm proud of both my master's of linguistics as well as my wife's PhD in chemical engineering. We are Dr. and Mr. Johansen. And that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. When I'd go to some of her work meetings, her coworkers would come up to me and were first shocked, and some people even scorned, wait, you don't have a PhD? I'm like, no, I don't. I don't know what it's like to defend my thesis or anything like that. And yes, she married me anyway. An intelligent woman can marry someone with less education. That's fine. I didn't realize, I thought it was cool she had a PhD. I did not realize how much society really pushed me down for it. And these were people in California with PhDs. And I didn't think that they'd be defending the patriarchy, but if the situation was reversed, if it was a man with a PhD who introduced his wife with less of education, no one would care. It was just because I had less than my wife. If I was as insecure in my education as I was about my athletic ability, those comments really would have been debilitating. But when we feel secure in who we are and confident in our worth, we can see past these toxic pressures and rigid gender norms. But when you have that seed of insecurity, like I did with my athletic capability, those same comments can feel like daggers, reinforcing those fears of inadequacy and triggering defensive behaviors. Toxic masculinity feeds off men's insecurities and fears of inadequacy. Now, men should never be expected to have higher education than their wives. But it's especially crippling in society where women far surpass men at every level of academic education. Currently, only 40% of college students are male in the US. Now, this is like a huge red flag, a huge gender imbalance. Other countries maintain greater gender parity in education. This isn't like a male thing. This is the way American society raises men and treats men. There's these expectations that girls are conscientious and diligent in their schoolworks and boys are rowdy and disengaged. I know I felt pressure to hide my conscientiousness and be more rowdy than I actually was. And these biases also shape how educators shape men, view men. Just like with the prison, these educators are more likely to punish boys. They're more likely suspended for the same behaviors as their female peers. If we don't change, this educational gender gap will continue to widen and continue fueling disparities in homelessness, incarceration, and economic stability. Now, the obstacles men face in getting an education, you compound that with the pressure to be better educated, and you get a lot of frustrated men, a lot of men who are really insecure. And you add to that, there's this rapid decline in well-paying jobs that need an education. And then you've got this huge population of men who are desperately searching for validation and worth. And too often, they find that worth in toxic gender norms. I think there's a reason that non-college educated men are the backbone of the modern patriarchy. Lyndon B. Johnson once said, "If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you picking his pockets. Hell, give him someone to look down on and he'll empty his pockets for you." I think that applies in our modern movement to transgender people, immigrants, and women as well. As non-college educated men are falling behind, politicians know exactly how to exploit the pain they're feeling. Instead of addressing systems that oppress them, these leaders offer a false sense of worth through these very systems, promising power, status, and control. But the promises are empty. Yet breaking free from them is difficult when society relentlessly demands that men prove their worth through dominance. We can do more to show men how social justice benefits them. The worth they find in being true to themselves is far more sustainable than anything the patriarchy offers. Freeing ourselves from the pressures of toxic masculinity allows us to embrace our full selves, unburdened by these outdated expectations. We can help men experience a world where their emotions aren't policed, where vulnerability isn't seen as a weakness, and where their struggles are acknowledged. We must also talk about how harmful gender norms not only hurt other genders, but also contribute to issues like homelessness, mass incarceration, educational disparities, and the mental health crisis. This isn't men versus other genders. It's all of us against systems of oppression. We can honor both homemaking and employment as valuable, regardless of the genders that occupy those positions. We can fight against all forms of violence, whether domestic violence or police brutality, because justice must be holistic. Only by working together across all struggles can we create a world where everyone truly thrives. There's been a lot of backsliding in gender rights this year, and we are all feeling it. But one of the reasons we are feeling a loss is because we have something to lose. It wasn't that long ago that many of the rights we now fight to protect didn't exist at all. Progress isn't linear, and setbacks don't erase the gains we made. More people than ever are questioning outdated gender roles, challenging these systemic oppressions, and envisioning a more inclusive world. History shows us that the fight for justice has always been met with resistance before major breakthroughs. The world we want is possible, and together, we can create it.
Please remain standing as we extinguish the chalice. Never fast enough for that. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, or the energy of action. We hold each other in our hearts until we meet again.
Men, be real men. Real men working with real women and real gender minorities. Ignore those who would police your emotions or twist your gender into a weapon. Leave behind those toxic pressures. Your true, raw energy, masculine, feminine, androgynous, is exactly the change this world needs. We need you to be you.
I've been closing the door. All my life held it in, but not anymore. Got 2 feet on the floor. This is it, I'm stronger than ever before. Pardon my imposition, but this is my conviction. I need to get this off my mind. Gotta be me, gotta be I, gotta be who I know I am inside. Can finally breathe, taking it in, look at me flying. It's always been there, it just took me a minute to find it. If I were to be anybody else, I'd just be hiding who I am, who I am. Looking back on a little boy, never gave him the chance to ever be more. I didn't love him, but I'm gonna love him right now and forever. It's time to push open the door. Pardon my imposition, but this is my conviction. Ain't nothing left to hold me down, no. Gotta be me, gotta be I, gotta be who I know I am inside. Finally breathe, take it in, look at me flying. It's always been there, it just took me a minute to find it. If I were to be anybody else, I'd just be hiding who I am, who I am. It's always been there, it just took me a minute to find it, who I am. Gotta be me, gotta be I, gotta be who I know I am inside. Can finally breathe, take it in, look at me flying. It's always been there, it just took me a minute to find it. If I were to be anybody else, I'd just be hiding who I am, who I am. It's always been there, it just took me a minute to find it, who I am.